Zoe, hey, congratulations on your new short film, Travel Plans.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
More of a congratulations is being showcased at the LA Shorts International Film Festival. How do you feel about that?
I feel great, of course. I mean, who wouldn't want to be? I'm from, I'm in LA, so this is local to me, and it's a great festival, and I feel just fantastic. I'm so honored.
So let's ask that obligatory initial question. Where the idea came from for Travel Plans?
That's actually, I didn't write it. Krista Amagon told me that she read an article in the New Yorker that inspired her, and she turned it into this rather twisted little tale, and that I fell in love with. So make of that what you will. Probably means I'm a little twisted too.
So then how were you brought on board to direct this? Because this is your directorial debut.
It is. I solicited it actually. I was looking for something to direct, so I sent out some feelers about to writers. Does anyone have anything and would want me to, to direct it? Take a chance. And I was put in touch with Krista, and I gave her an impossible mission, really, which is like make something in a single location. So it's a one-day shoot because we need to keep the budget down, make it interesting since it's not, I can't afford anything super expensive. So the story has to carry everything. And she pitched a couple of ideas to me. And then the following week or so, she came up with a couple of scripts. And this one was the winner. And I thought it was just so great. I'm so impressed with how she put that together.
It's always interesting is because, doing a film is already tough, but you're trying to do a film like really, really fast, under 3 minutes, and all the components have to fit perfectly in order to accomplish this. So tell us about your process.
Well, this was all new to me, so I'm going to be honest. A lot of it was making it up as I go along and relying on the experience of the cast and crew, including my producers, who are wonderful. Essentially, I started with a script, and it was going to be a lot smaller than it was. I was going to film it in my garage, and just hire a couple of people. But then she gave me the script when it was completed, and I thought it was just way too good, and I wanted to do it justice. And so I reached out to a producer friend and I said, what can I learn? And she told me how to hire crew, how to interview, what to ask for. And I got hooked up with a wonderful DP who then had her own, first AC and gaffer key grip to come with her. I got referrals to sound and I just kind of made the team up just basically to do justice to the script. When you have good material, you want to honor it. And it felt a little bit, part of it felt kind of overwhelming, just learning this as I go, but part of it felt just really good, and really comfortable for some reason because it was just so much fun.
Now, you could talk about with your DP on how you two actually organize this into a single location shot because all the shots were done in with this vehicle, and for some people that could be easy or could be actually challenging. I mean, for a first time director, I would have done this in a couch in someone's house, but tell us about it.
We talked about that, and then I realized that it needed to be in a car. The car that you see is actually my car. So I wanted to be in a car because there was the idea of course, getting away, and I just wanted that to always be a possibility, which isn't in a static location. So for the story, it needed to be mobile, or at least the threat of mobility needed to be there. And, when I talked to my DP, I explained when I was interviewing that it's easy for something like this to be really boring, because it's just one place and one location. And so our challenge together was to make it dynamic enough, make sure that the story fits the shots so that it doesn't feel claustrophobic unless it's by design. Because certain times you want it to feel like close, but I wanted to make sure that it feels as open as it can and really take the opportunity to show the outside, show the exteriors when I could, when it made sense for the story.
Did you have to go through multiple takes of the same dialogue in different angles in order to capture this dynamic process?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the beauty part of having beautiful part of having a small crew and having a short script is that you can kind of experiment. And I'm very lucky that my cast is fantastic and was up to play. They weren't bitter about doing many takes because this was new for me. I wanted to try different things just so that I can see what I have in the editing room. It was a learning experience for me as well. And they did not complain one bit. They were game, they were just ready, even though we shot during a heat wave and I thought that would make it worse, but they were just 100% on board, which is a lucky thing. And I feel very grateful to them. They did a fantastic job.
You shot it during a heat wave.
I did. It was just really a bad coincidence. It was like a million degrees out, and this was in the car. We had little fans, like little hand fans in between takes. And in between setting up, we turned on the car so the air conditioning to be on, you can be on. And then the house that you see when we weren't shooting was air conditioned. But during the actual shooting part, they suffered a little bit. They were sweaty. Suffer for your art, right?
Now, the casting itself, small cast. You had three actors. Tell us on how you settled with these three.
Well, when Krista gave me her materials, I, checked her out online. She's a director and actor with materials online, and I really enjoyed her work. And so I said, "Hey, by any chance, do you want to play Erin? How do you feel about that?" Because as we were talking about it, she would say the lines, of course, when we were going the lines of the script, and it just made sense that she knew the character so well. Oh, cat. Sorry.
That's
What a
okay.
cutie. What a cutie. And she was on board. She said, "I even have a wedding dress, my wedding dress, that it still fits." And I'm like, fantastic. And then without giving it away, the role of Jack needed to be a specific look that would be believable to go with Erin. And I asked her if she had any recommendations before I opened it up wide. And she said she worked with this guy and I saw his material in line. He was so great, exactly what we wanted. And unbeknownst to me, Sean Michael Boozer, who plays Ben, is a mutual friend. I did not know that they knew each other. But when I looked at her materials online, I saw him and I was like, we have a friend in common. And I've known his work for years and I've been a fan of his for years. And we wanted someone who could do a lot with a little. And he did. He's got a very limited and important part, and he brought so much to it, which was great.
Did he bring his outfit to?
He did. He had his own outfit. The only thing I contributed, we went on, a tie, what would be an appropriate tie. And, I sent him a couple of options on Amazon. And, this is truly like a DIY. And we got a little options and we agreed on that one. I thought it looked classy.
Now tell us about the apple on the stick. I mean, it's actually kind of funny is because, out of all the props you could have used, I don't think I could recall the last time I ever seen an apple on a stick being on film for quite some time.
That was a combination. So the script actually had a cupcake, but which didn't do anything for me personally. So I talked to Krista and I was like, I'm thinking of doing an apple so that, to be symbolic of original sin, just, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. And she came up with this. She goes, "How about a candy apple?" Because I was going to do like an apple pie or something that were, less obvious. And it worked out well because visually, that pop of red worked so well because it's a static scene. There was green and the inside of the car, kind of muted colors. And I bought a bunch, I bought like six of them, and I just wanted something noticeable. And I loved the color that it brought to the color palette. And it worked out kind of by coincidence with me just saying, what can we do instead of cupcake apples? And Krista taking that on and like, yes, how about candy apple? That's red. And it was just like a done deal.
So was that a prop that you guys actually created, or do you have to hunt down a candy apple
I,
out there somewhere?
I do not create that. I had to hunt it down. I did some Googling about places that sell that, and I went to like three different locations, and they do have candy apples, but they were caramel colored, you know. So the red ones are not as popular because they're kind of I guess old fashioned. So they don't make them anymore. The candy apples that you see are now just have different colors and different toppings. And so I had to order that from a place, from a candy and apple place in the valley. And I specifically had to do the red one. So I ordered a bunch. But it was a little bit of a hunting down.
As a first-time director, what was your process of, developing the chemistry amongst the cast here? Because, you have for your film, you have to get that sense that there is some kind of character friction going on.
Yes. The beautiful part about Krista bringing on Jared is that they have worked together in the past. So they had kind of a natural history between them that is harder to create if it weren't there already. So they both came to my house for a rehearsal, and I basically did, I have an acting background, what I would love directors to do with me, which is give me some room to mess up, give me some room to just play around, even if I look stupid, even if it's wrong, like just give permission to kind of go all over the place. So we spent an afternoon doing just that. And this is what came out, it was based on that. And then every once in a while I would say something just to mess with the dynamic, just to do something different. And when you're dealing with good quality actors, with people with talent and into it, they're kind of all in. Then it just becomes a fun process. No one was grouchy. No one was like, oh, why am I doing this? They just kind of jumped in. And I think that helped, which means because we had the run through in my living room, um, when it came time to shoot, it just, so much of it was already there, then it's just a matter of tweaking what I wanted for a specific thing. But, there was a lot of opportunities for a lot of takes just because it was a privilege. The thing that's a limitation, which is, it's a short script, gives us a lot of opportunities to try a lot. So I worked in our favor.
So what was the greatest challenge for you then as a director?
Ooh, the greatest challenge was that I wasn't just a director. I was also a producer, and because it was, it's a small crew, a small cast, and limited budget. Then I was also the location manager and the location scout, and I was the producer on site, and I was one of the PAs, and it just becomes, something I've learned through this process is that I need, it would be nice to have had more help. There's a reason why film is such a collab, why you need a million people with specific tasks. You understand that on a large scale, but I was like, is it really necessary? Some people make a lot with a small scale. And then I realized what an advantage it would be to have had more of that. So the challenge was that my focus needed to, I needed to constantly recalibrate. This just when I'm shooting, this is everybody else, and everything else has to just go away. And then when we're cutting, what are the problems that we need to solve? Like somebody's playing their radio in the house next door, and it's messing with the sound. How do I deal with that? Stuff like that, which happens on every shoot, like all the
Mhm.
nightmare things. And that also becomes fun stories, but at the time don't feel like fun. So having to kind of take that on in addition to directing.
Well, it's funny is because the fact is you face so many challenges, especially this being your first time. But I get that sense because now you have the taste of that being in that director's chair. You sound like you have like a lot of fun that you want to do this again.
Oh my God, yeah. I know people talk about catching the acting bug. I think I caught the directing bug. I wasn't sure that would be the case when I started. I didn't know if I would enjoy it. I didn't know if I'd have any kind of inclination for it. So I was like, let's just see and find out. And it was such the right call because yes, it's hard work. Yes, you lose you lose a lot of sleep. There's a lot of stress, a lot of work to be done in pre-production and post-production, more than just the shoot itself. And it's an expensive venture, so you want to be careful with everything. But at the end of the day, it is so fun. It is great to collaborate with people. It's I understand that has its pitfalls too, but I got lucky and it was a joy, really. So I I'm already working on my second project.
Oh, really?
I am, yes.
Can, can you tease us about that? Is it
Um,
another short film?
it is another short film, but longer. This one was just kind of training wheels for me. So I needed to be small and contained by design so that I can kind of get my bearings. This one has multiple locations. It's 3 day shoot, and it is about 10 or 11 pages or so. So it's longer. I'm taking more on, just easing my way into a feature.
I guess you know a feature film is the ultimate goal eventually, right?
It is because I have a feature that I want to direct that I wrote, and this is for me gearing up for this project. I mean, each one is a pleasure, each project is a pleasure unto itself and it's an animal unto itself. But the ultimate goal for me is to direct this feature that I'm in love with and that I've worked on for many, many years as a writer. And I want to bring that on. I just need to be ready first. And this project and the next one, and possibly a third, we'll see, will is really just me getting ready and gearing up for that.
Well, it is all about leveling up, but along this journey, you have to start somewhere. Can you tell us how you develop, you know, the courage and experience as a director, or who has helped you along the way to, you know, through this process?
That's been so the best part. I knew it to some extent since I've been on sets and as an actor. I didn't quite realize how lovely and welcoming and helpful the filmmaking community is. It has been just like heart opening, really. When I figured out I wanted to do this, I belong to a couple of friend groups that are in the industry, mastermind group, and I put out a little thing that says, "Hey, I'm directing my first short. I need help with the following areas. Will anyone speak to me essentially? Can anyone teach me about this area that I've never done personally, that I've only ever observed, And it was an overwhelming response. You know, I got just a lot of love, a lot of support. My producer, Rachel Stander, and another producer, Tracy Clifton, just pitched in their knowledge. They kind of walked me through the things I didn't know before Tracy was brought on. Uh, Rachel was basically hand walking me through the whole thing.
Hmm.
This is part one, this is part two, this is part three. And I'm so grateful, and I feel embraced really. It's a wonderful, wonderful community, as I'm sure you know, having, spoken to a bunch of us. It's a welcoming and warm community.
Well said. That is wonderful for you. And I, you know, Travel Plans is going to be showcased here at LA Shorts International Film Festival. Are we going to have a chance to see it at more film festivals down the road?
Yes, I hope so. I've gotten into several, not all local, but tonight is a 10 p.m. program. 11 is LA Shorts. We will also be, the schedule is in seven. We'll be in Studio City in late August, early September. Once they set the schedule, I'll advertise, and we'll also be in a smaller festival around the country. We'll be in Atlanta Underground, and we'll be in Lake County and a bunch of other places in Pennsylvania and stuff. So I'm hoping as many people get to see it as possible.
That's wonderful, Zoe. Thank you very much for speaking to us. I've taken a lot of your time already. You had a wonderful experience, and sounds like you want to do this again. But for now, just enjoy the LA Shorts International Film Festival and make travel plans for the other film festivals for yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for meeting with me.